Creating immersive and believable AI means inventing stories and unique characters. So, before I explain you how I planned and executed my NPCs, let me start with a story. Most people know stories of knights and queens, of heroes and dragons, but often forget the little tales about lesser prominent figures. But their stories aren't of less value or of less importance, at least not for the friends and the loved ones around them. Today's story is about Charles Appleton, or how his crew used to call him Sharkbait. He was in the Royal Navy when the princess turned insane, and his responsibility for the canteen and the constant smell of fish on his fingers probably got him his nickname. He was by no means a fighter. He was a sailor through and through. He loved the wind and the waves and the endless ocean. Together with his sister Patricia Appleton, he fled on a trading ship, leaving the kingdom and searching new hope in the settlements on the far island beyond the Grave Sea. Welcome to part 5 of the Devtober challenge, where I create a game in 1 month. In the last couple of days I tackled the topic of AI behavior and how I wanted my NPCs to behave. The goal is to create an immersive and believable world that feels alive. Obviously, I'm still on the early stages of this process, but I can show you what I'm currently working on. First, I had to think about the logic I need to infuse life into my little low poly meshes to get them started. Since I'm planning to create a little settlement on the beach side of this island, I created a mock-up to get a feel of the harbor town. For now, let's call it Mad Hope Harbor, in critical memory of the mad princess that made all these settlers flee from the military duty, enslavement and even torture or death. I wanted to have daily jobs and routines for my NPCs, giving them a purpose that's viable on its own and not just creating them to deliver quests and rewards for the player. I decided to split the day cycle in 5 segments: sunrise, morning, day, evening and night. This makes it possible to use behavior trees to give all of my NPCs different locations to be found throughout the day. In the example of Charles, he always walks down the pier when the sun rises to embrace the sound of the crashing waves and the smell of salt in the morning breeze. Since he was a cook when he worked as a sailor, he decided to stay true to himself and opened a tavern on the little settlement, with the help of his sister Patricia. He quickly made friends with a fisher called Dexter, and they loved to talk about the adventures they had back when they were younger. That's why he likes to take a walk there in the morning and sometimes get some fish for the tavern. The animations I choose here are randomly chosen out of an array of currently 4 different montages. At the moment they are not linked to any real conversation. I used waypoint actors in all of the spots the character needs to stop and play the required animation when he arrives. The current day-night cycle is about 13 minutes long, while the day takes up around 10 minutes and the night only 3 minutes. I still got a lot of bugs to fix and the different animations are still kinda horrible at some times, like the sitting animation. When the character walks and searches for a seat, he gonna cast a sphere trace when he arrives at the location, where he gets a command to sit down. Then he finds the closest seat and plays the sit down animation. To avoid collision problems, I decided to make a call to the seat blueprint right before he sits down to avoid the weird collision bugs that could happen. And then I activate the collider again when the character stands up. During all of this daily routine, the player can always walk up to the character and talk to the NPC to engage in conversation. There is still no animation for the player NPC conversation yet, nor is there any stop command to the daily routine, so it might happen right now that the NPC just stands up and when you are taking a quest and walks away, so that's obviously got to change in the future. I plan to do different work and job points and tasks for daily variation later. In lack of useful animation, there's no dishwashing animation yet, and it's probably priority number 1,000,000 when building the game. When the NPCs walk to bed, they will just disappear in front of their houses, and in front of the eyes of the player. I'd love to have visible houses so you can enter and visit them during the night, but for now I went for the quick solutions. Funnily, the NPCs actually don't just disappear, but instead teleport to different locations where the player can't see them, and end up in a, endless fall through the void, and I'm not sure if it's appropriate or any better than the torture they fled from, but a small part inside of me kinda enjoys this view. I won't do a whole tutorial on this part, but I'm gonna briefly show you what I did to make this possible. Firstly, I used the level blueprint to get the rotation of the sun itself, the light actor, and set the rotation and store this one in an actor I got in the game called Daytime Manager. This one communicates to the NPC routine, which is an actor component on my character itself. On the other side, to make the character react to all of this, I use the behavior tree and behavior tree task and blackboard task to communicate to the NPC character itself with the combination of the information of the daytime. This way the NPC character can execute the task appropriate for the time of the day. In the behavior tree itself, I just call the simple task NPC behavior and routine, and the work itself is happening in the task. The current state of the NPC routine task is a complete mess. I originally tried to sort out the action itself into the actor component to decouple everything, but later realized that the way I don't have the complete control about the callbacks from the move to command, and I don't see when it's completed. So this was resulting in stuff like sitting animations playing during moving characters, which was kinda awkward. I could and probably should use interfaces and event dispatches now to decouple the components for good coding practice and to avoid future bugs, as well as making it easier to make changes later, but it already took far too long to get the routines working, and I got to keep it like it is for now to make it possible to finish the project in time. It's gonna be hell of a lot of work to implement the day routines in all of the villager NPCs while keeping all of them unique in their behaviors. Especially hard work will be those who need special animations, and I think I got to settle down with some placeholder animations for now, because I got a lack of crafting animations and working animations for fantasy medieval town settings, like cutting down trees, using saws, preparing meals and fishing and stuff like this. If you know a place where to get those animations for affordable price, let me know, because Mixamo sadly doesn't have a lot of those day job related stuff. The next mechanic, and probably the last one before the save system to wrap everything up, will be the magic and ability system. I'm not sure yet if I got the time to make a talent tree, and honestly I got a lot of parts to be updated soon. Mainly the inventory system that has still no equipable items yet, which is a requirement for good RPG games if you ask me. The last week needs to be saved to fill the game with content and populate it with items to be picked up, quests to be completed, dialogues to be discovered and story to be told. 1 or 2 new areas in the world would be awesome to get some biodiversity in the areas, and a big boss fight for sure is one of the bigger plans for the next couple of days. So enough talking, I'm gonna show you what I'm currently working on, even if it's by far not ready yet. As a teaser for the demo game and the next couple of videos, this will be the one stomping you into the ground. He will throw rocks at you and smack you with this giant tree. Currently all of his attacks are not fully implemented yet and don't do damage and don't have the right animations at all. So if you wanna see how this continues and how this golem gonna smack you, stay tuned and turn on the notifications for the next videos. See you soon. Oh hell, he would be good at baseball, don't you think?